who's at the Supreme Court. So, Sophia, fundamental issues that Wambugu is raising against the CJ. Let's talk about that petition. Have you been able to maybe lay your eyes on it? What does it say? And what really is the premise of him coming out now, just a few days before we even get to understand what this full ruling was all about?
Yes, Betty, good morning to you. This is that petition, 14 pages in total, of what Wambugu, that is Ngunjiri Wambugu, who's Member of Parliament, Nyeri Town constituency, this morning, saying that, criticizing and accusing the Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court of attempting, or rather executing, a judicial coup, a coup in Kenya, and annulling the election of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and thus sending the country back to another election that now we know will be held on the October the 17th. So this petition, of course, we've not had opportunity to go through it all, but just talking to him a few moments ago as he gave that press briefing and putting him to task on the allegations that have been raised, Ngunjiri Wambugu in this petition is seeking the audience of the Judicial Service Commission. This is the employer of the judges across the board. Remember, they interviewed the CJ as well before he came into office. So he's seeking, according to the conclusion in this petition, I can read for you. In the foregoing, I request an opportunity to present my evidence before the JSC at the earliest opportunity. The evidence will comprise both oral as well as documentary evidence. He also goes ahead to just break down what these allegations and what this petition is really grounded on. He says the grand plan in this conspiracy is akin to what took place in Ukraine, where a presidential election was invalidated by the Supreme Court, and the court ordered a fresh presidential election. He goes on to say that this is identical with the Chief Justice's decision in Kenya in the fresh presidential election of Ukraine. Once again, the Supreme Court invalidated the results. And allow me to just get those spectacles there. Dan, if you don't mind, the spectacles. Dan? I beg your pardon, Betty, there's a car that is moving. There are spectacles on top of the car. Just hold on a moment before we have an accident here. Thank you very much. Apologies for that, Betty. There's going to be a little bit of an accident here outside the Supreme Court and some things that are on the way. But back to this breaking story and that development there, Betty. Ngunjiri Wambugu seeking to have audience with the JSC, saying that in fact the judiciary has been interfered with. There have been people who've been able to penetrate. This petition also talks about civil society organizations, which he claims are informing some of what we are seeing playing out in the judiciary. He says he's been able to cite several cases, and the manner in which the judiciary as entirety has conducted itself has presented issues that they want addressed by the JSC. But the person they are focusing on is the Chief Justice, and they're saying that he had undue influence on the other judges, because I did pose the question to him. This was not a one-man decision. 4 judges ruled in favor of annulling the election. 2 judges dissented. He said that the Chief Justice, I beg your pardon, influenced the other 3 judges. Even going further to say that Judge Mohammed Ibrahim, remember, he was unwell and was only able to sit for 1 day of the hearings. He said that he was asked to stay away by the Chief Justice. That's the allegation being made here this morning by Ngunjiri Wambugu. So they're roping in civil society organizations, saying that it is a coup that was executed by the Chief Justice, and indicating that they want him removed, they want him investigated, that when a person is cited or alleged to have committed such a coup, then action should be taken against that person, and that is what he's seeking audience with the JSC, the employer, to be able to do, Betty.
Yeah, why is it seemingly looking like an attack on the CJ by himself? Because, I mean, the judges has quite a number of people. We're talking about individuals who also have individualistic thinking, if you can call it like that. Every judge there was able to either to disagree or agree with, the issues that were raised by the petitioner. So how come, it's just Maraga who's being brought to the fore, while there are other judges who agreed with the ruling on the petition?
As I mentioned there, Betty, it was a question that was put to him. Why just the Chief Justice? The Supreme Court has 7 judges. As I've said, Mohammed Ibrahim, the judge, was not able to sit through, so he was also not there during the ruling because he was taken in ill. But Ngunjiri Wambogo's argument is that the CJ had undue influence, that he influenced these other judges, in essence saying he forced their hand to be able to rule in the manner in which he'd wanted them to. And also, another critical question, I mean, that we posed to Ngunjiri and crucial at this point is that this is coming even before the country really knows, everyone knows, the real reasons that led to that annulling or invalidation of the 8th of August presidential election, because that reasoned out full judgment is yet to be released by the Supreme Court judges. So, because largely he said, they annulled now their election, now they're taking back to another election, and they've not explained. But the question was, they are yet to explain, so why not wait for that to happen? And he argued, we'll not wait for that to happen because the implication of that decision is already playing out in the sense that we're already preparing for another election. And so he also went ahead to cite that the absence of the Supreme Court judges during the official opening of Parliament by President Kenyatta again spoke to what he's alleging in this petition, that there is some underhand dealings, that there is some conspiracy that is going on, that there is influence that is undue across the judiciary, but more so with the president of the Supreme Court. So really quite some allegations that have been made. We'll wait to see if the Chief Justice will be responding, but we know he's here. The judges of the Supreme Court as well here going on with their day's work. It is next week we're expecting to be able to see that reasoned out judgment, but this definitely will be keenly watching to see how it plays out even with the JSC.
Sophia Onuna there reporting from the Supreme Court. Sophia, will come back to you in a few minutes to just, of course, get to hear what that petition really entails. As you've heard from her 14-page document that Ngunjiri Wambogo, the Nyeri Town Member of Parliament, has filed. He's seeking audience with the Judicial Service Commission, saying that he's going to be making oral submissions on just why he thinks that the CJ should be out of office. He says that the CJ exercised a judicial coup by annulling the presidential election. We'll be getting back to the discussion here in studio in a few moments, but for now, let's take a break. We're coming back in a few minutes. Don't go away.